It's Do Time with Pastor Steph.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Rise and shine. You're on with this Due Time with Pastor Steph. How are you this morning? That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. For this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. So, where were you yesterday? Yesterday was Wow Wednesday, and we started off with our girlfriend Vivian and our socially conscious segment. And we talked about those warnings, that warning to drivers in New York City. Baby, speed camps are coming to the bridges and the tunnels. Yes, the Verrazano will have it, and so will RFK, aka the Triborough Bridge, as well as the Midtown Tunnel. Yeah, they are going to be monitoring your speed, and tickets will start at $50 and increase all the way up to $100, along with any fees that you will pay for being late. So if you didn't have a reason to slow down, if you don't want to kick out any more money, you got a reason to slow down right now. Excuse me. We talked about, those 181 nationals from Mexico that have died trying to get in to U.S. country. Yes, listen. Can't figure out why. We don't know why, because word is out that Trump is sending everybody who is illegal out of here. So if you dying trying to get in, that means you're trying to get in illegally. Now, word has it that because the Border Patrol has been tightened, it's harder for them to get in. So therefore, they are risking their lives even more trying to get away and get in with some extracurricular ways, and they're not making it. No. Now, word also has it that they're not the only ones who are not making it. Yeah, there are other people from other countries trying to get into, and they are not being successful. Now, the crazy part is that's only the ones they know. They have found bodies where there has been no identification because they're tossing their identification when they're trying to get over here. So therefore, if they don't make it, they don't have a name. They are Jane and John Doe's. So therefore, there are over 100 bodies that they don't know who these people are. So, listen. Again, it is nobody's secret that from the top of this year, since Trump has taken office, he is shipping everybody back who does not have the proper credentials to be here. And he's been sending some people back who have credentials. So why? What is actually going on that you would really, literally risk your life to get over here in this country? You need to think about that thing, because it ain't easy. It ain't easy. We have talked about this before. We have shown pictures of them throwing their children over the gates and going through the round barbed wire. Yes. I'm still scratching my head trying to figure out why, what. Come on. This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. We talked about the squatters again, and Marco Velasquez, who thought he had an answer to getting the squatters out of his house that he was trying to sell. Well, he took his wife and friends up in there, thought he was going to outdo the squatters and tried to make their life miserable. Well, it backfired because he ended up paying them over $4,000 to get out. Can you imagine paying over $4,000 for you to get out of for them to get out of your house? Yeah, well, listen, he seemed to have forgotten that they were masters at this thing. He ain't no master, but they sure were. Well, come to find out that this was her profession. Yes. This is what they did. This is why they mastered it so well. They even had mortgage papers. I mean, they could have at least chosen a mortgage company that did exist, but yo, they went that far. Listen, all the other squatters had rent receipts. She going for the gusto. She went for mortgage papers. She said she owned the house. Oh, goodness gracious. Yeah, these people ain't playing. So he ended up paying the $4,000. He's out over $4,000. And yeah, that didn't go too well for him. So, I tell you, that socially conscious segment be something else. I don't know where Vivian be getting these stories from. Well, we also talked about President Trump and the Episcopal Church that is not too happy with him, who is now bowing out from the resettlement program that they have been a part of for well over 50, 60 years. Yeah. You know, they have been a part of this resettlement refugee, let me call it what it is, the refugee resettlement program that, brings these Africans over here. And, in order to get them acclimated and settled in, they help, put food on the table and help them with citizenship papers and so forth and so on. Well, President Trump has pulled the okie doke and he has pulled in some white refugee Africans. Yes. And they are not happy at all because they said, hey, there are people who've been waiting on this list. How did they get expedited over here? And they're going to help them get settled and get their documents together. So they said, you know what? We want out. So they are not accepting the over $50 million they get a year. Man. Over $50 million this Episcopal Church has been receiving annually to help the refugees come over here and settle in. Now that really got to me yesterday because I thought about all the people who are born in the United States, our veterans, our seniors, who can't get an egg to fry and who can't get a roof over their head. What are you doing? What are you doing? You're right here in America and you're not helping more Americans. Now, I'm not saying you're not helping any Americans because I don't know that. However, you get $50 million to help people come over into this country. You are getting $50 million. So therefore, there don't need to be any homeless people. There don't need to be any hungry people here in America. With $50 million a year, oh, you can cure a whole lot with that kind of money. Yes. So, listen, this country has gone buck wild. So they are refusing to be a part of the program anymore. They said they will still help the refugees, but they will do it with their own money. They are not going to accept this 50 mil anymore, and they will help by any means necessary, but it will not be through the federally funded program. Boo-hoo. At least that's what I say. Yeah, I'm not moved. I'm not moved whatsoever. So, listen, you need to go back and catch the conversations from yesterday because they were we good. Yes. Well, that's how we spent our Wednesday. Today is Therapeutic Thursday, the day we talk about our health. Yep. In any shape, form, or fashion, whether it's our physical, our mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, whatever health you want to talk about, we're going to be talking about it today. All right. So let's get this party started. Go ahead and get that healthy breakfast. Go ahead and tell somebody that it's due time with Pastor Steph is on. And whatever you do, don't go anywhere because we will be right back.
Seed is the cure to every disease except death. Almost all chronic disease can be traced back to an underlying virus or bacteria. Lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, fibromyalgia, multiple sclerosis, vitiligo, fibroids, and even some cancers can all be directly linked to hepatic virus strains. Tonsillitis ear infections, IBS, SIBO, and Crohn's can all be directly linked to Streptococcus or E. coli. And when a pathogen isn't the root cause, it's almost always heavy metals, brain issues like autism, ADHD, dementia, or PANDAS in children. It's all directly linked to mercury or aluminum. And the reason black seed oil is so effective in all of these conditions is because it's highly toxic to these virus and bacteria strains and also helps to chelate heavy metals out of the body. Whether it's Epstein-Barr virus, HHV6, HHV7, or gnarly bacteria, black seed oil directly combats these pathogens, rids your liver of heavy metal toxins, and stimulate your lymphatic system for deep healing. If you have a loved one, share this with someone who needs to hear this.
Good morning, and good morning again. Welcome back to It's Due Time with Pastor Steph, and it is Therapeutic Thursday. Yep, the day we talk about our health. In a shape, form, and fashion, we talk about that thing today. Well, before we get started, I gotta say good morning to my people out there. And the only way I know that you are in the room is if you check in. So please make sure you give me a hearty good morning so I can shout you back. We're starting off with our boy Terrence. Hey, Terrence. Good morning. And thank you so much for joining us this morning. We are saying good morning to our girl Ketty. Good morning, Ketty. Thank you for joining us. Miss Charlene checks in nice and early this morning. Good morning, Miss Charlene. Happy to have you with us this morning. We got our girl Sherry. Hello. Hey, where you been? Hey, good to see you this morning. Thank you so much for joining us. And we got to give it up for the ladies who hold us down and bring us this live every single morning. Let's say good morning to our girl Anika. Hey, Anika. Thank you for being in charge this morning. And we've got our girl Shantice. Good morning. Good morning. And good morning, Shantice. Thank you so much for not only joining us, but helping us hold it down. And I'll be talking to you in a minute. Yes. So we have our health tip this morning, and came across a very interesting health list, and they're talking about the everyday foods that we would never guess contain synthetic dyes. So I hope you got that pen and paper out this morning. Let's get it going. Well, they say the synthetic food dyes are like red number 40, yellow number 5, and they are found in nearly 24,000 U.S. food products. Now, a lot of these products have been banned in other countries. We've come across a couple of these items on other lists, and they have definitely shared with us that United States are still using this, but other countries are not using this. So they say these dyes often are used to enhance appearance, are petroleum based, and may pose health concerns like hyperactivity, allergic reaction, and gut issues. So they are really putting out there who and what has, these yellow and red dyes in it, so we can be aware as a consumer what exactly is going on. Oh my goodness gracious. All right, so they say in one study, some brain and cognitive journal, that they have like this whole rainbow color. This is really weird. And they say fruits are some of the things that actually contain this dye. Now, why would you need to do this? And food has its natural color. Wow. They say artificial food dyes are synthetic chemicals added to food to enhance or stabilize their color, and they do not occur in nature. All righty. Well, they say we need to definitely be concerned and proceed with caution because they are commonly in ultra-processed foods, which come from negative health baggage, and or add to health negative baggage. Yeah, that's what I should have been saying, including blood sugar instability, gut microbiome, and other issues that we may experience. Now they're telling us how to spot these food dyes on the labels. They say it's not necessarily easy to decipher which ones, but if we're in the US, look for names like, you got that pen? Red number 40, yellow number 5, and blue number 1. They say terms like artificial color or color added can also indicate synthetic dyes. All right, so again, on your label, you're looking for red number 40, yellow number 5, and blue number 1. You're also looking for the words artificial color as well as color added. Okay. Are you ready? Pickles. Wow. They say that vibrant green hue on bread and butter pickles. They say give thanks to yellow number 5. Wow. They say a natural cucumber's color can fade during processing and storage. So to compensate, they add this synthetic color to make it, vibrant. And that gives the illusion of freshness, even long after the brine has fallen short. Wow. Are you ready for this one? Fruit on the bottom of yogurt. Wow. You may think you're getting a fruity punch by picking up fruit on the bottom, but be warned that berry color It's from red number 40 or yellow number 6 to make that color pop. Wow. Wow. Now, they say even in plant-based yogurts or fruit juices. Wow. Oh my goodness gracious. Yep. Plant-based. Wasabi flavored peas. Wow. You should see this picture. Wow. Well, they say that green color comes from artificial dye. And it's not natural. And they say that out in California, the lawmakers are considering passing a bill that prohibit it. Wow. Oh, here we go. They said blue 1 and yellow 5 combination. And we all know that blue and yellow makes green. Wow. They say they may even throw in some red number 40 for the leafy color. Now, this is whether the peas are in a mix of a snack item or on its own. Wow, y'all. Oh, my goodness. Kill me, why don't you? Vanilla cake mix. Wow. They say that the yellow number 5 gives the batter that rich, buttery appearance. They say products marked as creamy, white, or lightly colored can rely most times on this additive. They say vanilla yogurt, vanilla cake mix. Okay, just when I thought it was safe. Mayonnaise, yes. Non-dairy creamers, marshmallows, light-colored soft drinks, powdered sugar, and frosting. Yo, I tell you, this is crazy. Let me see this again. Vanilla yogurt, vanilla cake mix, mayonnaise, non-dairy creamers, marshmallows, light-colored soft drinks, powdered sugar, and frosting all contain yellow number 5. Butterscotch pudding. Now, I actually like butterscotch. Well, I'm a 60s girl. And let me tell you something. That's what people used to have in their bag. Yeah, they didn't have no peppermints and all of this lifesavers. No, they had a good butterscotch piece of candy. And boy, I miss that flavor. Well, butterscotch pudding, they say definitely contains number 6, yellow number 6 and yellow number 5 to create that brighter, creamier looking color. Let me just say this before I go on. After a while, we just gonna be standing up in a square box, chewing on our own skin, because this here is crazy. Salad dressings. Yes. They say natural oils and acidic ingredients can cause color separation or fading. So in order to make it look beautiful, they say synthetic colors are often added to standardize the look of creamy dressings and maintain a consistent, visually appealing color that can include titanium dioxide used in white or light colored dressings like Caesar or ranch. To achieve opacity and brightness, yellow number 5 is added to French honey mustard or ranch dressing. Number 6 is often used for that orangey color that's in creamy French and Thousand Island. Wow. All right. Flavored applesauce. Oh my goodness. They say just like the yogurt, they add red number 40 to enhance the appearance. Wow, we are digesting all kinds of stuff. Instant oatmeal. They say that they are adding red number 40, especially to strawberry instant oatmeal, maple brown sugar instant oatmeal. Child, as Mariah would say. Jams and fruit spreads. So that's our jelly. Okay. They say food coloring helps to replicate the look of ripe fruit, even when the color from real fruit is minimal. Red number 40 is added to strawberry, raspberry, and cherry spreads. Yellow number 6 is added to orange marmalades, peach or apricot jams to intensify that orange look. Processed meats and smoked fish. Wow. They say in order to add to that deep red deli meat color. Oh boy. Smoked salmon, including salmon cream cheese too. So in other words, the lox. That's what they're talking about. Honey, 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 and honey. So let me go over these foods that have the synthetic dyes, either yellow or red or blue, to definitely enhance the color and the look and make it more appealing. You've got your pickles, fruit on the bottom, yogurt, wasabi flavored peas, vanilla cake mix, mayonnaise, vanilla yogurt, non-dairy creamers, marshmallows, light colored soft drinks, powdered sugar and frosting, butterscotch pudding, salad dressings, namely Caesar, ranch, creamy French, Thousand Island, honey mustard, flavored applesauce, primarily that strawberry one. Yes. Instant oatmeal. And they're talking about the, what do you call that one? The strawberry and the maple brown sugar. Jams and fruit spreads. They say strawberry, raspberry, and cherry spreads, as well as the orange marmalade, peach or apricot jams, processed meats, and smoked fish, such as that lox, including salmon, cream cheese. Like I said, after a while, we're going to be standing in a box trying to figure out what can we eat. Tamika says Good morning, Lady Tamika. Hope you'll be able to join us this morning. She said, I make my own frosting from scratch, but I just got hit with the marshmallows. And let me tell you something. A lot of homemade frosting recipes include the powdered sugar. Yes, because I make my own as well, some every once in a while. And yeah, when you're making that cream cheese frosting from scratch and you're using the cream cheese, they add powdered sugar. Yeah, and powdered sugar is on that list that has synthetic dyes in it. Synthetic dyes. Dyes. Oh my goodness. All right. Let's go to our news. All righty. Well, let's get an update. Let's talk about this update. Well, and they are going buck wild. And I need y'all to let me know what you think about this, because I actually, every once in a while, I'll read the comments and I'll let you know what the comments say. So, we've been talking about this Austin Metcalf and Karmelo Anthony in Texas, the two track stars. And Karmelo Anthony sat underneath the tent of Austin Metcalf, and he was told and pushed, get out from underneath their tent. And Karmelo Anthony stabbed Austin Metcalf to death. Now, they are allowing Karmelo Anthony to graduate. They say that he has earned all of his credentials in order to graduate, but he will not participate in the graduation ceremony. Now, this has really brought up quite some stir, because they have some who say that, we're proud to share that Karmelo Anthony will graduate and receive his high school diploma, and that his academic achievements will not be disrupted. And you have the other side that says, no, he should not be allowed to graduate, and he committed murder, and especially murder against a white boy. Yeah, this is the dialogue that's going on. And it's very disheartening to know that he will graduate when his classmate, this Austin Metcalf, will not graduate, because he lost his life in this whole event here. And they have seriously considered this from above, the higher ups. And they're saying that he's done everything. He's done everything to, go through this process. He went through the year. He's, gotten passed all the requirements. Why should they separate him from getting his diploma? He is allowed to graduate. Now they say they cannot allow him to participate in the graduation ceremony, because you can't have someone who's being charged with murder, whether he's found guilty or not, participate. So I would like to know whether you feel that he should be allowed to participate or not. And not participate, I'm sorry, graduate. Because that's the argument. The argument is, so what, you're not allowing him to participate in the graduation ceremony. He shouldn't be allowed to graduate at all because of what he did. There's no question as to whether he actually committed the murder or not. But the only question is whether it's self-defense. So come on, put in this chat room, because I'm coming back. I want to see, what you think. All righty. What else are we talking about this morning? Speaking of kids and what they're doing, ooh, in the news in New Mexico, you have two brothers, ages 7 and 9, who had a standoff with the sheriff's department, and they actually had a gun that they were passing between the two of them, playing around with the gun. They were behind some kind of HVAC, machinery. They were hiding behind the HVAC machinery, and the deputies were really under a very difficult decision, because there were a couple of times where the boys actually pointed the gun at them, and they were told, to put it down. Even one female deputy said, "Put it down, baby." And they were like, no. They were actually cussing at the deputies and refused to put it down. And at one point, they showed some type of a cannon, meaning the deputy department, some type of a cannon, they say. And the boys actually saw it and asked, was that a cannon? They told them yes, and actually tried to use that as some negotiating and bargaining tool. And, they said, well, if you put the gun down, we'll let you see the cannon. Now, they say at one point, when they pointed the guns at the deputies, the only reason why there was no gunfire is because when they pulled the trigger, it malfunctioned. The gun malfunctioned and it jammed. So the bullet didn't load into the chamber of the gun, because they're saying that had those boys fired at them, they would have actually had to fire back. Oh boy. Well, somehow or another, they ended up getting close enough to them, to the boys, where they were able to take the gun from them. And this was really, really a very temperamental issue, because they say that sharpshooters were there. And they said they can be heard yelling 40, 40, 40, and then firing non-lethal shots. And they say a couple of those shots ricocheted off a wall and landed near the foot of where the two boys were even standing. So I don't know, this could have been really, really bad. I don't know where they got this gun from. They say that they heard the two of them fussing back and forth with who was going to get the gun next, what they were going to do with the gun. And if they had actually fired, they say they would have been forced to engage in gunfire. But they ended up getting close enough to them and yanking the gun out of one of their hands. And thank God for that. Thank God for that. Because that would have been really nasty to see a 7 and or a 9-year-old lose their life. Again, they're not saying where these guns where this gun came from, and the fact that this could have been extremely, extremely bad, even fatal. And they're saying that there's some issue with individuals that have mental health challenges. Now, I'm sorry. How did you get here? How did you get to the fact that these boys had mental health issues. Where'd that come from? No, they were intrigued with this gun to the degree that they were playing with it and passing it between the two of them. They've watched too many TV shows and movies where they were pointing a gun at the cops, threatening them that they were going to shoot. And that this is what they were doing. This ain't got nothing to do with no mental health issue. Why? Where you get that from? They said that the agency needs to dedicate and build stronger community-focused behavioral health services for citizens. Yeah, behavioral health, not no mental health. There's a big difference. You know, we are going to have to realize that some of this behavior out here by these children, as well as adults, is just simply evil. We were born in sin and shaped in iniquity. Plain and simple evil. That's it. We ain't going for all of this, well, some mental illness. Well, how do you get that? Where you get that from? Stop giving these people excuses. All righty. Well, another update. Remember, we've been talking about these prison guards and how they're being dealt with, the ones who killed the Robert Brooks inmate upstate New York. And they have another guard that has had to face the music. And this one is the one who cleaned up the blood. Yes, he says that he did know that Mr. Robert Brooks was beat to death, and he went behind them and cleaned up the blood. So they've got him charged with second degree when you clean up, when you mess with the evidence. Yeah. Tampering with physical evidence. That's what I'm trying to say. And they say that's a felony charge. And he ain't getting no time. He's not getting any time. He has a plea agreement as well. And he is sentenced to a 1-year conditional discharge, meaning he can avoid prison time if he resigns his job and obeys the law. He also waived his right to appeal. Why? What's a 1-year conditional discharge? If he resigns, he should go to jail. Anybody else who tampered with evidence would go to jail. Yo, there's a big possibility that you watch this go on, which if you didn't try to stop this, the only people that should be even considered, and I'm saying considered to get some lighter sentence or some 1-year conditional discharge is anyone who may have tried to stop this whole occurrence. And clearly would have failed because they had at least 10 people beating up on this inmate. So you participate in any shape, form, or fashion, then you deal and face the music. So, they have 3 other prison workers who have reached agreements, but they have not entered the pleas yet. So they are keeping us posted as each of these people are facing the music. Well, he got off easy. Easy. Oh my goodness gracious. Let's see if we can get one more story in. All right. So we should call this Gunfire Day. There's a mom who is accused. Oh, the picture. Show her picture, please. Oh my goodness. Well, after looking at her picture, you can see why she's all up in this. Wow. I didn't see this picture last night. They must have updated this article. So, this Texas mother is accused of buying ammunition and tactical gear for her son. And the reason why they are really nailing her is because they say that this was a plan for him for mass targeted violence. They have evidence that Ashley's Pardo's son, who's 33, she's 33, he has been planning some attack on the school and elsewhere. Yeah. So they say the alleged plot that Jeremiah Rhodes Middle School, are you ready for that? Middle school had possibly coming is under his plans, and she knew about it. They've complained to her, they've told her. They said despite being contacted by local law enforcement, child protective services, and school personnel about his desires to commit acts of mass violence, that she bought all of this stuff for him, this ammunition and tactical gear. They said he showed up to school. Oh my goodness gracious. He showed up to school in this gear. I'm trying to see. They said he was wearing a mask, camouflage jacket, and tactical pants. That after he showed up to school, he then left. And they were extremely concerned that he was going to carry out this attack. And they added extra security, and they deployed additional police officers. They swept the campus for any potential device. They say he was later detained off the campus after the police ended up seeking him out. Now, are you ready for this? They said the reason why she bought it was because she made an agreement with him that if he babysat his younger siblings, that she would buy him this stuff. Now, grandmama found the stuff in her house. She said she found some troubling items. She said, and then she thought about the fact that the previous day the mother had bought and given him this ammunition. She said that he had a helmet, army clothing in her house. She found magazines loaded with live ammunition, along with a homemade explosive device made from a mortar-style firework. Now, this was all in the grandmother's house. He also had looked up some previous events where people had done some mass killings. And there were several searches found for different people who had been responsible for mass killings, as well as events that were found for mass killings. And he told the grandmother he was going to be famous. You know, look at that picture. She don't look like somebody who could be somebody good, mama. No. In order for her to get a babysitter for her son, her other children, this is what she took and bought her junior high school son. Do I have any due time crew in the house? I'm just, It's time to talk to them because this is just too much. This is just way too much to talk about. Also, I got you this morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning, good morning. You got me. I'm here.
Oh,
I'm gonna suck on my thumb because that's all I can eat. Because after you talking about all that food,
man,
there's nothing that I can eat. I'm gonna just start biting nails.
I said we're gonna be standing in a box, chewing on our own skin after a while. Because this here, oh yes,
so distracted.
This is crazy. This is crazy, and it's so disappointing because we got to give up so much of our favorite things. Oh my goodness! All right, Tamika, let's get to talking. Now we're gonna come back to that last and see what everybody says, but let's talk first about these two 7 and 9-year-old boys playing with this gun now are in a standoff with the deputies, and the deputies are trying to talk them down. They are pointing the gun and trying to fire at the deputies. They told them to put the gun down. They was like, F that. Oh my goodness gracious. Now they still haven't figured out where they got this gun from, but they managed to get up on them close enough in order to disarm them. They said they just snatched it out of their hands. Yo, now here's the scary part, Tamika. They said that had the boys fired the gun, that they would have been forced to shoot back. What are we talking about here?
Bad boys, what you gonna do?
That's about sums it up.
I just don't, my thing is they had access to it. Somebody at home, a cousin, a nephew, whomever had a gun. They got access to it. And as children, they fighting and playing games. And my thing is, even no respect for authority or for the law. The law is telling you, put it down.
Mm-hmm.
You clearly said, put it down, baby. No, and you disregarded that, and it makes me think, I'm so grateful that apparently they didn't get it to the T, because somebody's life could have been taken, and the authorities would have had no other recourse. And then we'd be looking at it at retrospect. I could see a million people coming to these cops, not knowing the whole story, but seeing the fact that they hit a child, that they killed or injured a child,
right.
There was nothing else that you could do. So I'm grateful that they were wise enough to do what they could do, to take the gun from these children. It's just horrible this day and age that you should even have to do that. But this is what happened when we decide to give little Johnny a gun.
Right.
Show him how to shoot.
That's right. That's right. Or let little Johnny have access to the gun.
Absolutely.
Because where was this gun that they even got access to it? And their fascination, with this gun, their fascination with what they've seen in movies or on TV, about this standoff. Now, I want to ask you this. The first thing they say is that, hey, we need to give more attention to mental illness.
People crack me up with that. I'm getting to the point where I'm just so tired of mental illness. When you don't have a name for it, you swing that title, mental illness. These were children that were curious. 9 times out of 10, whoever the relative was, they left it on the couch, they left it on the table. Obviously, you didn't lock it up. There are precautions for guns. Anybody that has a gun knows you lock it up in a safe, away from any of the other things, and you put it up in a high place. The fact that a 7 or 8-year-old child got access to it, you had it in plain sight. They saw it. They decided to take outside. Let's go outside and play with the gun, and disregarding anybody else's guidance, and almost took their lives as well as, the officers.
Right. 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 And let me tell you something. This is why it could be bad, because they said they did fire um some type of a shot, but it ricocheted it ricocheted off a wall and landed near the boy's foot, and one of the boys' foot. And that could have been fatal. That could have hit somebody in the brain, temple, whatever. You know what? Again, this ain't got nothing to do with no mental illness. This has everything to do with just your behavior. Nika says, well, little kids using the gun, this could have been so fatal. And this is not good. We got a good morning from AJ. Good morning, AJ. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. All right, Tamika, we've got this prison guard, the next prison guard. He is found guilty. He's made some kind of plea agreement for his tampering with physical evidence. And he's got, 1 year conditional discharge, where he has got to resign from his job. And as long as he obeys the law, he's okay. Is that what he should have gotten?
No. Anyone who had a hand in concealing, tampering, if you stood by and watched, this tragedy, you should go to jail as well. You didn't say anything, you didn't do anything, and you tried to wipe and clean up, this mess. And when you're talking about blood, especially if it sits for a while, it's not the easiest to clean. There have been plenty of what do they call that? Forensics, where even despite the Clorox and the bleach, they find little spots of blood. Mm-hmm. So you did a lot of work, to try and cover it up, and definitely serve time just as well. You are just as guilty because you stood by and cleaned up the mess. Trying to save the officers again. And I agree that the officers, everybody in blue, you always want to try and save yourself and point the finger at somebody else.
Absolutely. We'll talk about serving time. We have this 33-year-old mother who bought her child all this tactical gear and ammunition in exchange for him babysitting his younger siblings. Now she got $75,000 bond that she actually put up, so she's out right now. What kind of time should she ultimately serve?
Life, because that's just it just doesn't make sense. Your child has issues, and we talked about, that brings me back to our conversation when we were talking about negotiating, and I'll give you this if you do that. What right. What mama in their right mind says to you, if you watch your brothers and sisters, look what I got: a gun, ammunition. You can get all of it. What in the world? Not only does the child have issues, mom has issues. It's clear looking at the picture by itself. You didn't even have to see anything. Right. Purple look bad. That's my favorite color.
Yeah, this here, she definitely needs to pay for her behavior. Definitely paying for her behavior. All righty. We got who's next on the due time list. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Tamika, who are we talking to this morning? Pastor KL, good morning.
In mid-shoe, y'all got to give me a warning or something when I'm next. Usually I'm last. Hold on. Let a brother swallow. Give me a minute. Good morning. Go ahead and talk.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Good morning, Pastor KL.
Matisse, we'll sidebar later.
Yeah.
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am well. Thank you. I am well. Thank you so much for joining us. All righty. We're coming back to that other issue, Tamika. So we've got these two brothers, Pastor KL, 7 and 9, with a standoff with the deputies. And the deputies said that had they fired that gun, oh, it would have caused them to fire that gun. But thank God they were able to get up on these kids close enough to be able to snatch the gun actually from them. What goes on with this 7 and 9-year-old?
Well, a lot of things, I mean, that hasn't even been talked about is, where's the parents? How did they get the gun? It had to belong to someone. You know what I mean?
Right.
And what type of punishment? You know, we're talking about the punishment for the lady on our side of the fence, but what about their punishment? You know, do they have any, you know, saying punishment for that? Because I'm sure a 7 and 9-year-old didn't go to Walmart and said, "I like to purchase a gun." You know what I mean? And these has to be the conditions of the house. If it's that readily available, you know what I mean? They're not locked up. They're all over the house. This is what they do. You know, and they just got lucky that the kids was playing a grown-up game, didn't get shot.
Right. Absolutely. And that's a big issue here. That's a huge issue here. And, you know, I asked the question before. I was like, well, where are the parents? How'd they get this gun? This is crazy. We can't dismiss the fact that these are kids, like you said, and they got this gun. How did they get the gun? So I don't know, Pastor KL, but that was not as funny because they didn't even mention that piece in the article. That was the funny part to me. I was like, well, where's that piece in the article? They're not even mentioning that. And he's asking the same question. Where were the parents of these children, 7 and 9 years old? All righty. We've got another story where we've got one of the other New York prison guards is now facing the music for his participation. And he's been found guilty of a felony charge, tampering with physical evidence. They're only giving him, he's been sentenced to 1 year conditional discharge as long as he resigns from his job and obeys the law. He'll be okay. Should he be given more of a punishment?
Well, I'm kind of on the fence. What was he just a maintenance man, or was he actually there?
Well, they have.
You know what I mean? Was he there?
Well, here's the thing. They say under questioning from the judge and the prosecutor that he acknowledged he knew about the assault by fellow guards, cleaned up his blood, and failed to document it.
Well, yeah, then he's part of it. He's part of it then. He's part of it because he had an obligation to speak up. He's part of it. Now, would I give him life or would I give him 20 years? Probably not. You know what I mean? But he should have some kind of prison time.
Okay, yeah. So they're at his own admittance. Now, speaking of own admittance, you've got this mama who's 33 years old, who needs a babysitter for her younger children. So she gets the sibling to babysit, and she'll buy him ammunition and tactical gear, despite the fact that she's been warned that he is a menace and there's a potential that he will light up this school. What kind of time should she get?
Well, you know, as a parent, first of all, if you know, children ask for PlayStation, they ask for Xbox. When your child starts asking for ammunition, you know what I mean?
Right?
Why aren't you questioning that? You know, so I'm babysitting my siblings, and you're buying me a real life G.I. Joe. You know, there's something wrong with that. You know, what am I doing with all this ammunition that you want to buy me? You know, so when you fail to question this stuff, or you fail to use common sense, you should go to jail for a long time, because apparently With him, this stuff was premeditated. So you just put yourself in the same situation with him. You carried it out for him. So yeah, you should go to jail for a very long time.
All righty. Well, here is the morning question. So we have Karmelo Anthony, the track star, as well as Austin Metcalf, the track star. They collide, and Karmelo Anthony kills Austin Metcalf. Now, there's been a back and forth with the Austin's twin brother has admitted that they have been messing with Karmelo, and this is why this came to a head. So now it's graduation time, and they have granted Karmelo the opportunity to graduate. So he will get his diploma, but he will not be allowed to attend the actual graduation because it kind of violates the rules. If you're on, if you've been accused of murder, you can't actually attend the graduation ceremony. Now, this is not good enough for some people, where they're saying that Austin didn't get a chance to graduate because he was murdered, and Karmelo should not get an opportunity to graduate. They don't care whether he is not allowed to participate in the graduation ceremony, but he shouldn't even be allowed to graduate. And the higher authorities are saying, well, wait a minute. The reason why we're allowing him to graduate is because he completed everything that he needed to complete. Regardless of what he's done, they will deal with him in criminal court for that. But as far as his schooling and education, based on what he's accomplished, he has met all the criteria to graduate. So we will allow him to graduate, just not the ceremony. Tamika, is that something that they should be doing, or he shouldn't be allowed at all?
All right. So he did his merit. He's done everything that he needed to do. You can't strip him of his education for that reason, and I understand that, he is one of the two that is still alive and can graduate, and he won't do the ceremony. I understand. It would make sense for him not to be at the ceremony, but you can't strip him of what he's already done, and let's not make this a white and black thing. In actuality, if you change the color, if it had been somebody else, they would want him to be able to graduate, but not walk down. I honestly believe that they're looking at this through glasses, through the black and white glasses. And, a lot of times, that's where, unfortunately, people look at things through.
Well, actually, that is the case. They're like, well, if he was a black, if it was the white who killed the black, then they would have had all NAACP, Al Sharpton. They would have been setting the place on fire, but he killed the white boy. So he should not be allowed to graduate at all. It doesn't matter whether you're stripping him of his ability to actually participate. Pastor Kale, what say you?
All right. Well, I got a couple of points. Well, let's talk about the twin brother. The twin brother admitted that he was a menace. Him and his brother was a menace to this young man. So while he should graduate, he shouldn't walk either, because that's not the principle of what we do in school. So you've graduated. You've taken all your classes and you've done well with all your classes. However, you was not the standard student. So we'll give you your diploma, but you shouldn't be able to participate either. Now, the second thing is that I believe that Karmelo should not participate, but for a whole different reason. Because now y'all don't want him to participate because y'all say he's a murderer. I don't want him to participate because I don't want him to be murdered. Because now all these folks are mad. You don't know who's going to get hit at the graduation. Wow. So I think it's for his safety that he doesn't cross cross the stage. But I think it's a double standard. I think the twin should not be able to participate either. Because had it not been for them, it's almost like in the Bible. If you would have been here, my brother wouldn't have died. So if you had not done what you did, my brother might have been alive.
Oh, very interesting concept. Very interesting concept. We got our girl Vivian on with us. So let's say good morning to Vivian. Good morning, Viv.
Good morning.
How are you?
Morning.
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Good. I'm okay, thanks. Oh, we got some down the line stuff to talk about, and then we're gonna get to this Karmelo Anthony thing. All right. So you've got the two 7 and 9-year-olds with the guns in an absolute standoff with the deputy department, have even fired. They tried to fire the gun and the gun jammed, and that's why there was no ammunition that came up out that gun. Now they say had they actually fired and accomplished this, they would have had to shoot back at them kids. What say you?
Yeah, I actually saw the video.
Okay.
And it was crazy to see these two tiny humans in a standoff with the police. It was absolutely insane. And then to hear them at the end talking, and you hear the little voice, "Oh, I don't have a gun." It was absolutely crazy. And you're watching and you're just like, I'm like, put it down. They're going to shoot you. Put it down. What are you doing? And it was both of them. And at one point, I think the 9-year-old was reaching over for the gun. And I'm thinking he's trying to take the gun from the boy to surrender. But he takes the gun from the littler boy and he's holding it towards the police as well. And I don't think this has anything to do with no mental illness. I think these kids watch too much YouTube, too much TV. They playing these games that they shouldn't be playing, and they wanted to live out what they were seeing. I don't think it has anything to do with mental illness.
That's that GTF.
Right.
Yep, absolutely. This is all over TV. This is all over YouTube. This is all over the game system. Yes. So absolutely, they're acting out, in real life, what they've been seeing and what they've been doing on a video game. This was a perfect opportunity for them to act it out. Yeah, this is crazy. All right. We have this other issue of the prison guard who says, hey, I know about it. And they're like, okay, you tampered with evidence, and now you're going to get 1-year conditional discharge. As long as you resign your job, as long as you obey the law, you're going to be all right. Is that good enough?
No. When you play a part in somebody getting beat up or murdered or just mistreated by your people, you need to get, as if not the same, then as close as a sentence as the person who actually did it, because you play too big of a role in it. Instead of you turning him in, instead of you doing the right thing, you're helping to cover it up. You deserve jail time.
Okay, so 3 for 3. What about mom? Her jail time for buying this kid tactical gear and ammunition because he babysat.
Yeah, they need to put her in jail. They need to make an example out of her. Just like the other parents who we heard that the kids shot up the school and it was the parents' gun, or the other mom who knew about the child's mental health conditions and the school was warning her and she did nothing about it and he wound up shooting up the school. She needs to be made an example out of, because you knew. They were telling you, and you were so desperate for a babysitter that you put these other kids in danger so you can go out. That's crazy. You put your kids in danger because you're leaving them with somebody who has mental health issues. You need to be behind bars. You care that little about your children and others that you would risk him getting the ammunition and being able to live out his dreams of shooting up the school so you could go out. That's
Yeah.
crazy. She needs to go to jail.
It is. It is crazy. And the scary part is it's middle school. We're not even talking about a high school in here.
Wow.
We're talking about somebody in the middle school. So you had an opportunity to stop this earlier than some of
Right.
the other parents, and you just missed the mark altogether.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Big question of the morning. Should Carmelo Anthony be allowed to graduate? Now, Pastor KL brought up two very different issues and something to think about. But should he be allowed to graduate?
He should be allowed to graduate, especially once the twin came out and said and admitted, yeah, we've been pretty much bullying him. Now we know that he could have, taken things in a different route. He didn't have to go the way that he did. But you can't determine how people decide to deal with your bullying. So once he admitted to bullying them, to them bullying him, then it is what it is at the end of the day. So now y'all need to deal with the living twin and his part and what happened to his brother. At the end of the day, you played the part in your brother being murdered. But he did what he was supposed to do in school. He was a good student. He, did what he was supposed to do. He made all his credits. Then let him graduate. Let him graduate. Now, I agree with Pastor KL. He should not be allowed to go to the graduation, but not because of what he did, more so for his safety. I agree with that. But let him graduate.
Yeah, I didn't even consider the part about his safety. Tamika, what's your thought on that part?
Yeah, I could see him being traumatized already, because you think about it, they're already trying to strip him of his education. If he were to walk down and go down, I could see him being beaten, brutalized, killed, murdered, hung. There's still areas where if they haven't done it, they envisioned it. I even heard about a gentleman here in New York that they tried to lynch. He was just minding his own business, and this is present day. We're not talking about something that happened years and years back. And so that is their ideal. That is their mindset. And so I would be concerned about his safety if he even showed up just to pick. Listen, I'm coming here the day after to pick up my diploma. I mail him his stuff, because it is a concern. Now that they want to strip him of his education, they don't be surprised that they wouldn't want to strip him of his life as well.
Yeah, I didn't. I didn't even consider that.
There is a question though. So let's look at it from this aspect. The person who does a crime, let's not say it's killing anybody. Person who does a crime and he gets sentenced to jail, and he does his time, and he doesn't have any problems in jail. So now I can't let him out. He's done what he was supposed to do. He served his time. He's been good. He got his education, got his trade or whatever. Now, in this premise, because of what you've done, you need to stay here for the rest of your life. You can't go back to society.
And not only that, what happens to the process of innocent until proven guilty?
Right. That was my thought.
You're still, this has not gone to trial and you've been found guilty of anything. We know what happened, and that's everybody's argument. Well, he admitted, and we know this is not something that we think he did. We know he did. However, he still has to go through a trial to find if they feel he was provoked and they understand, or either this was straight out murder. So this you can't strip him of something in the process of. And this whole thing, they're bringing up this black and white thing. Yeah, it's a black and white thing, because we do know that had this thing been flipped, this would have been on. Now their argument is, if this was a white boy who had killed a black kid, all of this would be going on and all that would be going on. You wouldn't let him graduate. I beg to differ. We have been on the other side of that coin too many times for y'all to actually say this and this be correct. Stop it. You know good and well that had a white boy killed a black kid, it would have been very different. All these people would have been, oh well, he was a scholar student, and blah, he needs to be. They would have insisted he walk.
Right.
At least everybody's kind of stepping back and saying, okay, you know what? Just let him graduate. We just give him his credentials, let him graduate. So this is a very interesting. This here has grown to be something that has been like crazy, because again, this is also the case where he's been threatened. They trying to move. They have to move. They had to relocate him because he was not safe where he lived. The judge wasn't even safe at a point. And we still don't know whether she's safe. So this whole case has gotten to be something much bigger than it actually should have been. And I agree with you all when you said if the brother has admitted that they were guilty, again, I agree. You cannot dictate where you go mentally when you're being bullied. You can't dictate that. Now, we're not saying he should have killed him. That's far from what anyone is saying.
Right.
But this has grown into something huge. We got a good morning from Serge. Good morning, Serge. Serge says, yes, Karmelo should be able to graduate. He didn't do anything to anyone who didn't deserve. However, I agree with Pastor KL about his safety because he has been threatened. That's what it is. We have another comment actually about, I think, from one of our other stories. It says, wow, knowing the response of police officers, maybe the mother was trying to get rid of this troubled child, whether it was through him being killed or locked up for life, as well as she should go to jail. Wow, that's an interesting thought. Interesting thought. Well, she's trying to get rid of him. You know, because like she said, you know, those cops are taking them down. If they can get a hold of them, they're taking them down. Wow, interesting. All right, we have another quote unquote dilemma. And I don't know, you know, yesterday we were like, well, this ain't no dilemma at all for us, but this is how people are living. And I want to talk about this one because there's a dynamic in this story that makes this extremely interesting. So here's how the story goes. You have this woman who has come to the United States, and she has been partnered through an agency with a family. And the agreement is that she would receive $196 a week, and they would give her a place to stay with food and pay, which is this $196, and they would pay for any education expenses up to $500. Now let me go over this again. She's been brought from her country over here through an agency who sets you up with a family. She's going to be paid $196 a week, given a place to stay, and they would with food, and that they would pay for any education expenses up to $500. The woman says she got along well with the family. She's great with the children, and they have had no problems up until she says that the parents made a rule that she, as a nanny, could only take food from one cabinet in the home, which they replenish once a month. And they say that they should not catch her sneaking food from other areas because they have an in-home camera. They say that they are super healthy eaters, so they only provide to the nanny in the cabinet tortillas, canned vegetables, beans, and mac and cheese. So she says that she's not given any access to meat, cheese, snacks, or drinks. So she ended up talking to the agency, and they said to her that she can be matched with another family or wait for the process there, or go back home and wait for the process and come back. She said she decided to stick it out with the family, and she started using her weekly allowance to buy the food in her cabinet. Now, she said the food part was really getting to her. And she said with the budget that she was given, $196, that she purchased Chips Ahoy, Pringles, and beef jerky. Now, she's always with the children, so she can't eat separate from them, according to her. So she has to eat in front of them. And because she started eating in front of them, the children started asking for her food. So she said that she would not refuse them outright, but she told them to ask their parents. She said, my money doesn't get me very far, and I'm doing what I can to make sure that I have something to eat, but I would not break their rule with the children, so I would not automatically give. But if the parents said that they could have her food, she would give up her food and share it with them. Well, the parents started to get on her, especially the mother. The mother blew up at her in front of the kids and told her that she had a lot of audacity, denying her children food inside her home. The mother told her that if she was going to eat in front of the children, she had to share the food, while also reiterating that they don't tolerate junk food in their home. The woman said she was afraid of being dumped into the street, so she didn't say anything back. She said she did communicate that she didn't have the money to buy enough for herself and the kids that she, that was in the home. So that's why she didn't automatically share. And the mother told her, you lucky, I really need a nanny. So she went back to the agency. She told them what happened. And they said that do what you wish to do, whether you want to go back home, whether you want to stay, it's up to you. We'll find you another home. But if I were you, I'd stay. So before I tell you what she decided to do, what's your thought, Vivian?
I don't know what kind of setup this is, but my biggest problem is that I go to the agency and I tell you what this family is doing, and you pretty much do nothing about it. Because generally, in situations like this, if they find out that the family is mistreating the person, they would usually end any contract with the family.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So this really sounds like a bad setup, to where the family is able to do whatever it is they want to do to this person that the agency is sending over, and the agency is just hands off when you're telling them this is how they're treating me. She definitely made the bad decision when she went to the agency, told them what was going on, and was given two options. You can stay there and wait, or go back home and wait until we find you a new family. I would have gone back home, because now you're just allowing them, you're giving them, you're showing them how to treat you. You're telling them, it's all right, you can continue to treat me this way, because I really need to be here, and I'm just going to take whatever treatment that you're giving me, because I need to be here. The family should have just been, whatever contract they have, that should have ended when she came to them the first time. So my biggest concern is the agency. What kind of agency is this?
All right. Pastor KL, what say you?
I'm in agreement with Vivian. I mean, the agency is supposed to work for me. You're my representative. And if I come to you and I'm telling you I have issues, and you do nothing, you tell me, well, just stick it out, suck it up. You know what I mean? Maybe, and I'll find you something later. How much is the agency getting paid off of me? That's the biggest thing. You know, you want me to stick it out because you can't afford to cancel this contract because then it loses money for the agency. Now on the other side is that send me back home. Yeah, it might not have been great, but it is not great here. At least I know what's not great over there. You know what I mean? I know my limitations where I am. Here, every day is a different thing. You tell me I can eat this or I can only eat this, but now you tell me the thing that I can only eat, I have to share. No, send me back home. We'll try it again.
I'm in complete agreement. I'm trying to figure out, all right, you have your rules for your dietary needs with your family. I'm dictating what I eat.
Right.
Dictate what I eat. Now, here's the thing. You may only buy tortillas and this nonsense to go in my cabinet. However, how can I be restricted? I'm a grown woman. How can I be restricted from eating what I want to eat as long as I'm not giving it to your children? So that makes no sense to me. My other question becomes, okay, you said that this is a healthy plate. This y'all only have healthy dining. Okay, so what difference does it make that I don't share with your children?
Right.
Would that be violating the healthy eating rule? That makes no sense to me. Now I must share what I bring in here with your kids. You have lost your ever-loving mind. I'm in complete agreement as well with you two that say, where's the agency's responsibility in all of this? What was the vetting? That was my question.
Right.
You mean to tell me that this agency did not know the rules? They didn't give this agency the rules that these nannies would have to fall under? Tamika, did you hear the story?
I did.
Okay, so what you got to say? I'll stop talking to give you an opportunity to speak on this here.
I'm trying to figure out why you punishing Consuela for just getting that. Y'all know I can make up a name or two, but she's trying to do her best, and that's a form of torture. It's also oppression. The fact that you decide, it's one thing if you say, okay, I only want my children to do this. If you're going to watch over my children, you feed them this, for all you know, they read one book and they said that, these people eat this, that. So we're gonna get you some tacos, we can get you some beans, no cheese, and maybe I want a little, maybe I want some peppers and onions. Oh, we can't have peppers and onions. And now this child has to be concerned that, you got you watching me. So I can't even go into another cabinet, and then buying my own food. You already are not giving her enough to really function. Who's functioning off $195 a week?
Right.
Give me $195 a day. You're not even allowing her, and then the fact that the company condoned this, you can't tell me that, she didn't verbalize and complain to them about it, and the fact that she decided that she was going to continue to try and strive through this is quite, amazing, because I could listen, I'll go back home to where at least I can get more than that. But that just goes to tell you the travesty that she's already going through, that she would allow herself to go through this type of torture.
Absolutely. Again, the agency failed big time, because when she went there, I agree 100% with you all. When she went there, they should have automatically pulled her out. I shouldn't even have that. What is this question? Well, do you want to stay or do you want to go home? What kind of question is that? So you're allowing and enabling the family to torture and oppress her. Feeding her, you guaranteed food. You didn't provide food. Who's living off of tortillas and two other things? Who lives like that? Let's see what's going on in the chat room. All right. Wait, I'm locked out here. All righty. Give me a second. This we're going a little bonkers over here. All righty. Anika says, sounds like the agency is concerned with keeping a client. Absolutely. I agree. Family sounds very controlling. Well, she said that she was really confused after going back to the agency, and the agency gave her this answer. So what she did was she decided to ask her social media people, what should she do? And social media told her that the agency was taking advantage of her, just like you all have said, and that she needs to go back home and start all over again, which is what was said here. Well, she decided to stay.
Of course.
She decided to stay. Let's talk about really quickly this decision to stay and why people stay, why people could possibly stay. Tamika, I'll start with you.
I have a old colleague of mine who is from the Philippines, and she stated that, she had a relative who, dealt with, abuse and neglect and, maltreatment, because what she's getting is better than what she has. We don't know what people in other countries have to deal with, how they survive, with scraps, and my thing, what you're not going to do is put your hands on me. That's one thing, and you talking about food, that is a form of torture. People don't realize it, but, that is a form of torture. If you've ever been on one of those diets or transition of eating where you're eating the same thing over and over and over and you don't have any outside, it has a way of dealing with you, with your mind, and you dry tortillas. There's only so much you can do with a tortilla, and then you're telling me with the tortilla I can't have cheese. Cheese, that's one of mine, my go-tos. I could put cheese on anything, and I think that that's horrible. But the fact that what you are getting, unfortunately, is better than what you have. In other countries, they don't have access to certain types of health care. They don't have an insurance. If they go to the doctor, it's so extreme until, I just deal with it, and so apparently what she's getting, the $195, she can use, and then coming here, she can purchase items for family members. How many times have we seen, people from other countries come here and then they go to the store and they buy all they can and send it back to other countries because they have the access. And so, it would behoove me to think that whatever she's getting, despite the fact that we see that as little, to her, that's much. And so with that, I'm willing to endure the stress and the pain and the uncomfortability so that not just me, but my family, my lineage can get what it is that I can't get.
Very true. Very true. Viv, why do you think somebody would opt to just stay here through all of this ill treatment?
My thought is maybe just a hope that it's going to get better. Because I think about, people who were in abusive relationships or, abuse, and everybody always asks is, why didn't you tell? Why didn't you just tell somebody? It's a difficult situation. So I'm thinking more on the lines of that. You're just going to stay because you're hoping that it'll get better. Because I believe she knew what was happening was wrong. And I don't think that what she would, well, I don't know. I just don't agree with, she was getting little here, but to us it's a little, but to her maybe it was a lot. Because if it was a lot, she wouldn't have called the agency in the first place. So she knew that what was happening was wrong, and then you went, I don't know. She knew what was happening was wrong, but her hope is that if I, withstand this long enough, I'll be able to get out. I'll be able to get whatever it is she was going there for. So they were telling her that, we're looking for you a new family. So maybe she's just thinking, if I endure it long enough, I'll get sent to a new family and things will get better. And she didn't want to go back home to whatever it is she was dealing with. So my thought is people would stay because they're just hoping that it'll get better. They won't have to give up, in a sense. Give up this dream that they have. It'll get better. I'll just withstand a little longer and it'll get better.
All righty. Pastor KL, why do you think somebody would opt to stay in this situation?
Well, a couple of things. I think one is that she believed in the American dream. She's seen, Jose came a couple of years ago and hears that Jose's doing well, Gladys is doing well, and maybe this is just one of those things. And then, the agency keeps dangling this carrot in front of me saying, don't worry, it'll get better, not knowing, well, maybe Jose had to go through this. Maybe Gladys, maybe this is the norm until I get, myself indoctrinated into what's supposed to happen. So instead of me going back and starting all over, where they may not call me at all for a second chance, I'm already here. Let me endure this until I can move on.
A lot to think about. Anika says these agencies take advantage when they see you need a job. It's sad because I actually agree with you both. When you're in an abusive relationship, a lot of these people think about where they come from. Listen, we just got finished talking yesterday about how they're coming over here, even trying to get here, despite the fact that they've heard that they're being shipped up out of here. They're still fighting to get here. What are you enduring in your country that this is just better? So anytime she didn't have to fight to get here, she didn't have to risk her life to get here, I can see her thinking to herself, well, you know what? Better than where I was. At least I know I got $196 coming every week. At least I know I got a roof over my head. At least I know I've got the agency is covering me. At least I know that I'll have something to eat, even if it's the tortillas and, bread and water. I'll have at least that. And that's what happens in a lot of domestic situations. So, we can probably figure out why, she would opt to stay. The fact that she knows is wrong, right? Like you said, Vivian, she knows that. You don't have to tell her she's not being treated right. But, like you all said, that, hey, you know what? Something is better than nothing. And that mentality is really prevalent these days for these people coming from other countries. Again, like you said, Pastor KL, Manuel managed, he got through it. I can get through it too. I ain't got nobody but me. And, eventually it'll get better. My Due Time crew, thank you so much for your contribution into today's conversation. And we pray you have a blessed day.
Thank you. You as well. Have
Thank
a good day.
you. Thank
you as well. Have a great day.
All right. Thank you. I'm looking at the how we cover all of these stories. And we talked about, Karmelo Anthony and Austin. He felt like this was his recourse. This is what he had to do. You know what? I told you don't touch me. I've been enduring your stuff long ago. Here's the interesting part. They are snagging him on the fact that he said, you better not touch me. And they said, well, him bringing a weapon to school and threatening was indicative of, hey, you better not touch me or either I'm going to kill you. This was all premeditated. Well, is it different than what we're talking about with this woman? People feel that they don't have any other choice and they make the choice that they make. And unfortunately, this was the choice that he made. Could he have handled it another way? Absolutely. But again, when people are bullied, I have said for years, stop thinking people going to keep on taking your nonsense. Stop. The people are tired. They say even a dog gets tired. Stop thinking that people are going to keep taking what you're going to, keep dishing out. We're talking about the 7 and the 9-year-old. Where did they get this gun from? This is a perpetuating of game playing, perpetuating of what they see on TV, on YouTube, as was said. And now we're going to act out what we're, what we've been watching. We want to be a part of that, especially little boys and guns. Long ago, they have raised the issue of stop buying children toy guns because not with the climate we're in. We don't want to put these things in their hands. Well, somehow or another, they managed to get this gun in their hand. And as Vivian said, she saw in the video where the older one took from the younger one and then turned it on to the deputies. Could have been a bad situation. We talked about the New York prison guard who somehow participated. He said he knew that they had beat this man up, but he failed to document it. And your failure to document this is why partially why we're here at this point. You have a job to do. Not only did you fail to document it, but you cleaned it up. So you made it seem as though you were covering it up. Because it's one thing to know something happened, you don't document it. It's another thing to add to that you cleaned up the mess. Well, consequences. The consequences of your decisions are not great enough. There is no way in the world you should be offered some year as long as you resign from your job. No, you need to resign from your job. You need to go to jail. I don't care if it's for 15 minutes. You need to go to jail. You do not need to be on the receiving end of a favor. No, this plea bargaining and this plea dealing and stuff like this has gotten so out of hand. So out of hand. At points there is no justice. And that's what we're talking about with the mother who bought her son the ammunition and the technical gear. It didn't matter that she had been warned, and this boy could have actually gone and murdered people, including children and everybody innocent, because you need a babysitter. You're trying to appease your child. This can't make sense to you. This is where the mental illness lies. This is where evil lies. So, you just really have just walked up into some evilness. Well, evil is this family. Evil is this mother. You have already said you don't want your children eating any unhealthy food. We don't even want unhealthy food in this house. So why would I say you need to share your food? If you took that money that I paid you to buy food that you preferred, then I have no say over what you do with your money. And telling you that you must share with anybody, my children, us, the household, the people next door, whoever it is telling me and dictating what I do with my money. There is no way you should be allowed by an agency to treat the nannies in this manner. And you are the reason why they behave the way they do. Decisions. The decision of desperation, and we've talked about that this week, leads people to do a whole lot of stuff. It leads people to take things that they would not normally take. Desperation means that I am going to stay under the thumb of a family like this, of the treatment of an agency like this, agency, when her social media people wrote her back and said, hey, the agency is using you, as has been said by the Due Time crew and in our chat room, they're using you big time. Get out. But because I know some people who don't have it as good as I do, I'm talking about all the people who come over, and now are dying to literally dying, trying to get into this country. I don't have it as bad as they do. So you know what? This ain't so bad. Every day we close out with one thing. Try Jesus. Does it mean that we will not be oppressed at any point in our life? Nope. Because if we were never oppressed, how would we know the rescue that God can provide? Whether it's self-inflicted oppression or whether it is something that we don't have any control over, which is what we're talking about here with this nanny. She didn't know what she was walking into, but Jesus saves. And that's what he gave his life for. We think about all the years that the Egyptians were enslaved. We think about all the years that the Black people have been enslaved and oppressed and ill-treated. And it doesn't mean, again, that once we accept Jesus as our personal Savior, that things will just end. We will not experience anything. We will. But again, I ask, does God have an opportunity to show how great, big, and wonderful he is? If we never get sick, then we'll never know the healing power of God. If we are oppressed, ill-treated, if we were never mistreated, rather, would we ultimately know the saving power of God? If we never had a day where our money was gone and we still had a list of things to do, would we know the miracles that God can work? No. Life can't just be this blissful lifestyle, but it's how we handle the blissfulness of Jesus's rescue, of God pulling us through, of God making a way out of no way. Would we be able to tell these testimonies if we never got into a jam, if we never got into a tight space? So God has to allow for this so that we can have a continual testimony. But the one thing we don't want to do is to self-inflict. Be very careful of the decisions you make, because God is not going to continue to rescue us when we keep getting ourselves into situations. He will rescue us because he's done it for each and every one of us. We've made some of the worst decisions in this world, and God has pulled us through without a problem. He's rescued us. However, what does that say for our gratefulness? The Bible says, do I keep getting into these things because I know that God is going to rescue me? Absolutely not. So that's what we need to think of. Are you in a situation where you are being oppressed? Are you in a situation where you are being mistreated? What do you do? What do you do? Do you stay like this, like this woman says, what? It's better than nothing. But is that what God really wants us to say? Is that what God really wants us to say? What does God say? This question that happens over and over and over again for me. I know it seems effortless for us to just come up with these resolutions and these problem-solving decisions. Well, what does God say? Does God say she should stay and be oppressed because others have had it worse? Or does God say, listen, go back. I'm going to make a way. I'm going to make a way when you go back. You know what? I'm going to see to it that you get better. But I need you to go back. I need you to take a stand. And I need you to go back. I need you to be the one who stands up and lets people know, hey, we don't have to take this. My God is greater than this situation right here. I am not going to be oppressed. I am not going to be oppressed. My God is greater. Is that the decision that he wants you to make? And this is why we need to seek God for everything we do. No matter how easy that decision may be, no matter how difficult that decision may be, we need to seek God for everything. Think about it. You've been watching It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. Join us Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. where we discuss matters of the heart, mind, and spirit. As you go through your day, be sure to set your mind on things that are above, not on things that are on the earth. They will only serve as a distraction. Remember, prayer changes things. It's Pastor Steph signing off, and I want to thank my Due Time crew for always coming through big time. Thank you for hanging out with us and keeping that chat room alive. Please do not miss this opportunity to choose Jesus as your personal Savior right now. Please do not miss this opportunity, if you've already done that, to just strengthen that relationship with the Lord, because later is not promised to any of us. Tonight, my 2 cents right here at 7:30, we're going to be reviewing multiple movies and shows. Come on and join us. Let's hear what you got to say. Do we click it or do we kick it? I don't know yet. Not until we talk later. Hopefully, you'll be a part of that conversation. If not, until tomorrow, God spares, where it's Freestyle Friday. And it's the end of the week, y'all. Until then, I love you.